Good morning, everyone. My name is Lisa Carlson. I'm the Chief Exec of Canterbury's Business Improvement District, and I'm hosting this session today with my colleague Rachel, who's our Head of Marketing and Communications. Hi, Rachel. We are recording this session so that people can watch it later if they want, or if you want to go back and look at anything as well. We are absolutely delighted to welcome Sinead Hanna from Pillory Barn. Sinead is the Strategic Communications Director, and her colleague Abby Sales, who's the Digital Services Lead. So pleased you could join us today for this session on selling the Sizzle with social. We do a number of training sessions. This is the last planned one in the first quarter of the year. There will be more coming. We've had sessions on legal, fraud, business rates, Google Digital Garage, climate change. Most of them are available on our website if you want to go back and flick through any of those. Google Digital Garage is always kept on their YouTube site. The climate change one was excellent, but she delivers that session elsewhere, so we weren't able to put the recording up for very long, but we'll probably bring that one back. And just while I'm quickly on climate change and the climate crisis, there are a number of programs out there for funding. Social Enterprise Kent are running a Be Bold, Go Green conference on Friday at the Westgate Hall, bringing a number of people across Kent together for that to support businesses. But what I would want to mention is that KCC, through the Kent and Victor Chamber of Commerce, are running a decarbonisation audit for businesses. Only takes an hour and a half, and I've had really good feedback about it. So we'll put that link in the chat along with other links if you want to follow up on that. As a business improvement district, we run training events like this. We also run networking. We're back to in-person, which is fantastic. So pleased about that. We had our first in-person one at Fitzgerald's about a week ago, and our next one, only 4 spaces left, is coming up on Tuesday, the 15th of March at Café du Soleil. And then on the 26th of April will be an evening one, and that will be at number 35 on St. Margaret Street. And there'll be more coming. Keep an eye on our website. We're really pleased that we can see each other in person. Although I know these training sessions work really well virtually, so you can just do them from wherever you are. So I'm really pleased to hand over now to Sinead and Abby from Pillory Barn.
Morning. Thank you, Lisa. Thanks so much. Nice to see everyone. Thank you for joining us. So we're now going to do the fun part of sharing screens and pray that it works. So I'm going to try it from my side as I'm starting off. So right, here we go. And I'm just going to go to slideshow from the start. Okay, can everyone see that? And can everyone hear me okay? Lisa, you're going yes, so I'm just going to assume that's right for everybody. So just 1 second, there we go. So if you don't mind, as Lisa has just explained to you, I'm from Pillory Barn, and I'm joined by Abby today. I'm going to give you a very quick overview of Pillory Barn, of what we do. We are a full service marketing agency. Some of you know us, some of you don't. We run the whole gambit of all marcoms, not just digital and social media. So a little selection on there as well. We've been going for over 26 years, working with a range of clients across Kent and the rest of the UK, specializing in place marketing, inward investment, development and creative content. We have our motto that we live by at the end of the slide there: be honest, be smart, be bold and be collaborative. And it's been led by our MD Miranda Chapman, who has which has also strengthened our B2B contacts, and we've worked with some Canterbury businesses to date as well. A little snapshot here of our digital clients. So I wanted to show you, this is a small composite of some of the clients that we work with on social media, but we have a larger client portfolio basis. But it was just so you knew, obviously, of some of the people we work with on social media, so we know what we're talking about. A couple of the stats at the top there of some of the clients we've worked with most recently, including Visit Canterbury, Lenley's based in Canterbury, and also Maidstone, Otterpool Park, where we have been making improvements to their social media channels. But also you can see an array of other organisations who we have been working with on their digital strategy. The thing that we're asked about most as an agency, the question that always is given to us when we are asked about Marcom strategy, is social media, is how can we do social media, because we don't have the time and we often don't have the budget, and can you just take care of it? Social media still, nearly 20 years after Facebook first launched, we have sorry, I'm just going to shut something down there because I've got some noise in the background. Yeah, up to 20 years after Facebook has launched, we are still being asked by people, how can we manage social media? How can we work it? Can someone take care of this for us and explain how it's working? So if anyone is feeling that way today, whether your business is small or whether it's large, you are not alone. We are very discerning about social media, really, when within the organization. We don't accept every request to manage social media that comes through our door. We are asked and we always assess them. And we don't necessarily take them on, just sort of carte blanche, go, yeah, that's a new job, we'll do it. We wholeheartedly believe that it is more important for social media to be managed in-house by the people who run and own and work on the business day in, day out. The days of farming out social media wholesale to an agency like us really should be behind us. We genuinely believe that. Now, we are always available and of course do serve our clients with helping them with campaigns. We help them with content writing. We help them with analytics. But social media is best managed by the people who live and breathe it every single day. It can feel overwhelming, but there are tools out there that will help you. There are organizations like us who will give you advice, will give you free advice to make sure that you are getting your goals in place to help you navigate through social media. We believe it is best done by taking a very stats focused approach to social media, looking at the data, pouring through our measurement and evaluation. It's not just about beautiful creativity. And that's what we want to focus on today. We want to be able to give you the tools and the guidance on how to measure the content that you are putting out on social media to make sure that you're getting a proper return on your investment of your time and of your efforts. Some of you, as is referenced on the call, you will have sat in on the social media content writing class that was done by Google Digital Garage recently. So you know how to write good content. Most of you know how to do great content for your business, or maybe you've got an instinct for it, you're not so sure. The most important thing is to take that content and be able to measure it, prove to yourself, or in some cases your CEO, your board, people who are very far removed from social media but control the budget, show them that you are doing good work and that you can prove that it is successful. And my screen froze there for a moment, which is terrifying, quite frankly. Our focus today, so as I've said, we are going to focus on how to strategize your social media, selling the Sizzle, your business, your USB through social media channels. And you do that by doing, we are a creative agency to the core. We're all copywriters, we're all creatives. We've had a very long history behind us, but 100% we are stats, digital, analytics focused, because that gets you the best results. So we want to show you how to measure what you are doing. Planning your social media properly. Abby is going to take you through some of the tech, some of the detail in there. It's going to be data rich, but there will be time for questions at the end of this session. So it's an overview. We cannot cover everything on social media in one session. We wish we could, but there will be time at the end for questions. We want to have your feedback. You may have specifics that you're sitting with in your head right now about what do I do on this channel, or this channel is really annoying me, or what can I do with my content? Ask us. That's what we are here for. We're here to help you. So whether it's in the conversation at the end of this session, whether it is later on an email, you want to contact us, let's all keep sharing and collaborating together and sharing knowledge, because it will just make Canterbury better in the long run if all of our businesses feel more confident on their social media. So what I'm going to go through very quickly before handing over to Abby is some of the overview of the approach that we take. Now let's look at the channels for social media. You know all of these. If you don't know some of these, then maybe we need to have a glass of wine and a conversation after this session. But here is the big six. You don't need to be on all of them at once. It may feel like you need to have a presence on all of these channels immediately on your website so people take you seriously. But I'm here to tell you, it's better to have fewer channels with really great content than to be doing all of the big six and sharing poor content or having nothing on there at all. So start steadily. The most important thing is to know the big six, and there are six. Anyone who's sitting there going, not TikTok, please not TikTok, it's here to stay. We can't get away from it. These six channels, get to know them, understand the demographics. We've shared some of the demographics on screen. These will probably have changed actually by the time we send these slides out. But do get to know each of the channels so you can determine what is right for your business, for your goals, and for your audiences. Understand who is using them So you can justify whether or not you do use those channels, or if they're just not right for your business. Just because everyone else is on them doesn't mean it's going to work for your business. If you don't have really good video content and you're not being quirky and funny with it, there's no point being on TikTok. But if you've got people in your organization who can take really great videos, and some of your members of the staff are on TikTok, maybe you should consider it. But is it right for your brand? The same way with LinkedIn, a great B2B network, but you need to be collaborating on there. You need to give it time. So give yourself time to understand the channels before you start them. Rome was not built in a day. Do not feel you have to get everything done at once. Don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid of the new things that are out there. Just investigate them and give yourself time to get them set up. The thing that we do when we're strategizing with clients about their social media is we go right back to not what do you want to achieve on social media, it is what is your business goal. That's the most important thing. It may sound really, really obvious, but what is the business goal that you have set out as a business owner? What is the business goal that your board has set up? What your CEO wants to see at the end of the day for your business? What is the most important thing? Now, let's just assume that profit for some people, or donations, or in profit or income is obviously the most important thing for most of us. But try and define your business goals, because that's the thing that's going to be able to give you the justification for the content you put out. Is it sales? Is it ticket sales? Is it product sales? Is it just number one, that's what you've got to do at the end of the day? Is it brand awareness? Are you the kind of organization or a business that wants to be seen as an industry leader? In your industry, in your field, do you want to inspire? Do you want to have engagement? Do you want to have people really reacting and sharing your brand? Are you service-led and do you just need reviews? Is that what your focus is right now in this first year? Is it physical visits to your site, people through the door, footfall? Is it leads that you talk to? It may be a combination of any of these, maybe it's more than one, but trying to find those as much as possible. We start off thinking, I've got to do everything, but be focused on it, because you're going to ask yourself some questions. This is what I like to call the spiral. Because the first time you go through it, you sort of spiral into despair of, oh my God, there's so much to think about where it comes to social media. But go with me. Because thinking about those goals, you are going to start thinking when you're putting your content out on social media. What are my competitors doing on social media? We start there, and do start there. Do your competitor research. What is another business like you doing in York, in Manchester, in New York, in Sydney? What is everyone else doing on social media? And is that the sort of content I want to do? But is it resonating with anyone? Look at the stats of your competitors. Don't just look at the content they're putting out. Are they getting the engagement? Are they getting the likes? Are they getting comments on those social media channels? And that made you think, what content is right for my brand? I know competitors are doing this, and I see a lot of stuff that people are responding to on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, but does that really resonate with my brand? Is it right for us? Leads on to the question, how well do you know your brand? We all have to ask ourselves that every now and then. We can get complacent of thinking, well, I think I know what our brand is. Or are you running your social media channel for a company and you go, have I actually seen our brand values, our ID, our tone of voice? Are we being true to ourselves in the content? Very importantly, with whatever you do on social media, who do you need to report back to? This is a very B2B corporate question, but it's vital to keep it in your head. When you are doing anything on social media, do you have a report at the end of it that you have to put in front of someone who does not use social media or has a vague idea of what social media is and won't understand what you're putting in front of them? They'll go, well, these are nice pictures. I've been there personally. These are nice pictures and this is nice content, but how's it translating to goals and to sales? This is where stats come into it. But think about who you need to report back to, because sometimes you have to protect yourself. And you have to think very carefully if that content will resonate with them. Because you need to, as it says there, demonstrate the value of what you are doing. And that is where stats, measurement, evaluation is your best friend. Someone says, I want to take a hard sales approach to whatever we put out on social media, but more inspirational content will resonate with your audiences. The only way you're going to prove it is by putting some stats in front of someone and going, well, we tested and we tried. Then you start thinking about who's looking at my business, who's looking at it right now, who is engaging, and is it the sort of people that we thought we wanted to be looking at our business? Are they actually engaging, or are these people over here, this other phantom audience group in my head? Do we want them looking at my business? but are they actually going to achieve our business goals? Are young people really the path to making us profit? It's a big question. What do I want people to be doing on my social media? Do I want them to be reaching out to us? Do I want them to be hitting a website button? Do I want them to be chatting? Do I want them to be sharing or saving? Your content needs to guide them in that direction. Will this cost me money? Well, it's not just about social media advertising. You do need to do some. I'm just going to say it plainly. But you also might need to think about investing in some technology, whether it's programs that will support you to show your stats, to help you schedule. Abby's going to refer to this later, but you may need to think about this in your budget. And do I have time to do all of this? The big question everyone has, do I have time? I will say it right now. No one in the world ever, anywhere doing social media for any company has enough time to do it. It's the number one thing that people say. It's a little bit of, we've got to get over it. There is time to do social media. You just need to give yourself more time than you think you have. You don't need to get all of this done in 1 week. You've got to look at this in quarters. When we get to the end of all of these questions, the main thing is, will any of this help me achieve my business goals? That is what you need to keep in mind. Anytime you feel challenged about content, about should I do this? I'd like to do this. Will it get you back to your business goals? It may seem obvious, but it is really, really helpful to have that in mind. And particularly if you are in an organization that needs to sign this off with a bigger group of people than those who are looking at social media every day. I'm going to end my section with my golden rules before I hand over to Abby, who's going to dazzle you with all sorts of stats and technology. You can't sell the sizzle without stats, without measuring what you're doing, without having a record of whether or not your content was successful, of proper measurement. It will not work. You will only be able to go so far. Remember, you can't please everyone. Don't use the phrase that you have something for everyone, because you don't. Make sure your audience is defined as much as possible, because it will help you cut through and it will help you build more audience groups in time. But don't start with trying to do everything and please everyone at once. Know who you are, because your content will be better. I'm sure you've covered that in your content writing classes and the workshop classes, the workshop that you had recently. But make sure you know who you are, because then you're selling you through your content in an effective way. As I said, give yourself time and test. Do not try. Take a scientific approach to whatever you do on social media and test it. Don't just assume it will work. I'm going to hand over to Abby now. Abby's going to shout to me when she needs the slides moved, but you're going to be hearing from her now. Thanks.
Thank you, Sinead. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to take you all through are what are social media metrics and why you should track them. Now here I am going to talk a little bit techie. So some of you may understand this, some of you may not understand this. It's okay if you don't, but we do have time to go through some questions. So shout me if you do need to ask any questions, or you need me to explain something in further detail if you're not fully understanding. So what are social media metrics? Now, there are three main categories to track, but as Sinead has clearly stated through this presentation, it starts with your social media goals. So for example, if your goal is for ticket sales, your category that you would track is conversions, which is clicks to website. So I'm going to delve into the three categories and just explain a little bit more about what these are. So there's three: there's awareness, engagements, and conversions. Now, awareness metrics are such things as impressions, reach, follower growth, how many people are seeing your stories, for example, on Instagram and Facebook. So they're your awareness metrics that you can track. Engagements is a big umbrella category, and we would recommend breaking down engagements per channel. So for example, I'm not sure, some of you may be aware that Instagram back at the end of 2021 did a little bit of an algorithm change. Now, marketers like myself threw the handbag across the shoulder, went into a hissy fit because all our strategy, all our engagements completely changed. And this happens. So you've got to be on the ball with metrics and measuring your social media. So for example, Instagram used to be likes and comments. Now Instagram top engagements to track would be saves and shares. Now, I know this isn't part of the slide, but a little top tip in there for you. If you are seeing posts that have likes and comments and not reaching enough people, it's because Instagram are not showing your post top of the feed. The way that you get your post to appear on the top of the feed are getting people to save and share your posts. So it's all algorithms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, the main four. They all have different algorithms, and it's just understanding them. So for Twitter, engagements such as things like retweets, comments, and likes. And for LinkedIn, it's reactions, such as Facebook, where you can like, love, and share posts. They're all under the category engagements. And then conversion is the third category to track. And this is the point of which a person performs a desired action. So for example, someone clicking onto your website from your social media post, or clicking on your website link in your Instagram bio. Another top tip there is to invest in what we would recommend, Linktree, because this allows you to track more than one URL in your Instagram bio, but that's another subject. I can talk hours on that one. And then another conversion would be signing up to newsletters, or, for example, making a purchase. Just remember that your social media goals are what determine your metrics. For every goal, you need a related metric. Now, we've gone through what social media metrics are. Now I'm going to take you through why you should track them. So metrics are important because they provide and they prove that you can measure how successful a campaign is, or a theme, or a post. It also provides evidence, such as what Sinead's stated before, to shareholders, to directors, that what you're putting out on social media and how well your strategy is performing, such as your content that you're publishing and your graphics that you're publishing as well. So that's the main key reason why you should track them. Not only do metrics give you an opportunity to understand the impact of your work, it also keeps your business aware of general social profile and brand health. So you don't know the impact of social media presence until you have the data to back it up. Now, I know there was a question in the chat somewhere. Do you want me to? Jodie, with regards to advertising on social, I've never done this. How do you decide which platform to pay for advertising, or do you simply test? My best advice is to start with the big ones. So a couple of slides up in Sinead's presentation is how many people are on certain platforms. So if your goal of paid advertising is purely just reach, take the top channels that you will have the most audience on. Now, I think, if I remember rightly, it's YouTube and Facebook. So yeah, Facebook ads will allow you to do Facebook and Instagram. Trial and test, always test your ads. Don't just put one ad out there, have 2 or 3. So in a week's time, when you measure the impact of an ad, you can then go back and pause the ads that are not performing well enough. If I'm hoping that makes sense. I could, again, talk a long time on this, but I thought I'd keep it short, sweet and snappy because of the time. I'm moving on to my next slide, is how, the next slide, how we track them. I'm hoping I've given you the right one, Sinead. Perfect, perfect, thank you. So how do we record these? Now, as Sinead has mentioned, there are platforms and tools out there. Some are free, some you pay for. But the ones that I would recommend starting with is the social media channels analytics that you've got already to hand. So for example, Facebook Meta Suite gives you analytics of Facebook and Instagram, whereas Twitter analytics gives you the insights of Twitter. And LinkedIn updates gives you your followers and gives you your engagements and reach on posts that you post on LinkedIn. Now, we use Soho Social. This is a third-party app that we use to track overall figures. This allows us to integrate it with Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter, so that we've got data in a nice spreadsheet so we can download it and save it for later, or download it and give it to directors, board members, managers, for example. So these tools, these third-party tools, they allow you to see the data with just a few clicks. However, we have found that some data on these third-party apps aren't quite accurate. So I would highly recommend using the free social media platform tools first before investing in a paid social media tool such as Soho Social, Hootsuite, or Sprout Social, for example. Now, we use Soho Social purely on the basis to monitor performance on a daily and weekly basis. We do an extra level of where we record the raw data and analytics. Next slide, please, Sinead. So, as you can see on this slide, we conduct a fortnightly record of raw data. Now, we do this at an extra level. We don't need to do this every day. We don't need to do this on a weekly basis. But what we do at Pillory Barn, we do it fortnightly. As you can see, we write down the date of the posts, how much is the reach, the impressions, likes, comments, saves, profile visits, and the total engagements at the end. Now, this is just an example of raw data with a couple of mimic figures in there for you to have a look. But what you can see is when you do a fortnightly raw data, I call it brain dump, data dump, is you can see the posts that perform well in terms of engagements and the posts that perform least. So what you could do is you could always, at the end of the month where you've taken all your raw data, next slide please, Sinead, is that you calculate the total of your follower growth, your page likes, your reach, impressions, likes, comments, shares, and engagements on a month-to-month basis. Now, we go through all social media channels and record the metrics that complement the goal. So always remember, when you are recording metrics, it falls back to the goal. So if your goal is brand awareness, it would be your followers and your page likes and your shares that you will be recording. And then just going through the reasons why we do this on a month-to-month comparison, this allows us to see and understand the performance of the channel on a higher scale. For example, you can see over the past 3 months, the follower growth month on month, as well as the engagements. Now, this gives you the data to show that your content is working. So like Sinead has said, if a board member comes to you to say, we need sales now, and you know that your social media platforms are more inspirational posts, these 2 levels of data, so the raw data daily and your monthly, will give you that backup and evidence to say to board members, okay, we've tried and tested. These are your top performing posts, which we know are going to be your inspirational posts. And these are your least engagement posts. And these are how many clicks to the websites they got. And then going on to what should be measuring, evaluating and changing. So Sinead, I think that's 2 slides up. Thank you. So what you should be measuring, and as Sinead has said, this drills down to your goals. Now, awareness metrics to measure are things such as audience growth, which I've already taken you through, impression share and post reach. They're key things to measure, engagements and conversions. So always measure on a fortnightly basis and a monthly basis to really understand how your content is performing, whether it's performing well or whether it's not performing well, and whether or not your audience are actually interacting with the content that you're publishing. Evaluate. So once you've done your fortnightly and monthly checks, I would recommend, and we go through the exact same process here at Pillory Barn. We analyse the top performing posts. We also analyse the time of day. Now, I just want to pause on this one because currently at the moment, you will see from many different blog posts that the best time of day for Instagram, for example, is 6 p.m. Now, this may not be the case for your business. So, for example, your audience could be over 50, and we know that they may be retired and they may be on Instagram between 12 and 2, for example. So always evaluate your posts. If they were posted at 6 p.m, did they have good engagement? If they were posted at 12 p.m, did they also have good engagement? And compare the two. Least performing posts, no one likes the sound of this, and we do this for all our clients. So all our clients know the top 3 posts that performed badly. I wouldn't say badly, but didn't perform as well as we expected. Now, don't be scared of bad results. Always confront them, always learn from them, and always test from them. So you might think, oh, that really good inspirational post is going to do really well, and by the end of the month, it's done shocking and got 1 like. Always evaluate your least performing posts because you learn so much from these. And then hashtags, evaluate your hashtags. Now, I don't know whether or not anyone's come across this, but when you search on Instagram, Canterbury, for example, you see a post of Ramsgate. Now, some companies do this to reach awareness. So, for example, if I'm hashtagging Canterbury and I see a Ramsgate post, will I click on it? Maybe I will. So this is just called hashtag badgering, which I wouldn't recommend doing. Make sure your hashtags are relevant to your content that you're posting. So for example, if you're posting a beautiful picture of Canterbury High Street, you wouldn't then put hashtag follow or hashtag enjoy, hashtag couple goals. You wouldn't do it because it's just not relevant to your post. People searching those hashtags will not like your post if it's not relevant to the search intent. And then change. This follows on to change. So taking the evaluating data that we've done, end of month reports, daily stats, it's now time to change, and don't be afraid to change. You can always change the date and time of your posts, always change and optimize the graphics. So test whether or not an animation works, test a video works, or test that a still image, inspirational image works. Change it up a little bit. Also change your content. So if from your evaluation, your least performing post is very short, sweet and snappy content, expand your content. Give people more information, level of detail, increase it. And then landing pages. Now this, I know that Sinead's going to smile, but landing pages are my baby. So everyone posts social media, but if your goal is to get them to your website, your landing page from social media is your key to converting them. So for example, if you post something about ticket sales and it goes to a landing page where there's another button for a ticket sale and another button for them to convert to a sale, it's not going, your conversion rate's going to drop. So always look at the landing pages that you're sending your clients, customers to. Make sure they are relevant to your posts that you're sending them to. Now, moving on to building your audience profile. Now, Sinead slightly touched on this a little bit, but I'm just going to break it down. Now, there are many blogs and many researchers out there that give you 20 top tips on building your audience profile. I'm going to break it down to 4 today because we're short on time and I know that I need to wrap this up because I can talk about this for ages. So let's start. If you ever feel like you're barking up the wrong tree, fishing for in the wrong pond, looking for love in all the wrong places, marketing to the wrong audience is a bit like that. So even when you're doing everything right, it comes out all wrong. you never quite get the results you're looking for, it's because the first rule of marketing is to know your audience. So 4 simple steps are, first one, collect data about your audience. So the age of your audience, the location of your audience, their interests, their lifestyle, their values. Now, I can hear people asking, how do I find that? You can find that on your social media channels insights. So you can know the age of your audience and your followers, you can know the location, and you can know their interest and values, such things as groups that they follow. The second tip would be use social listenings to find conversations about your brand, such as monitoring relevant keywords and hashtags. Sorry, that's my dog in the background barking because I'm not paying him attention. These reveal what people are saying about you and your competitors online. The third tip, pull it all together. Put it in a pretty presentation that you, your board members, directors and managers will understand. Create a profile. The final step is to make changes as needed. Now, this means update your audience personas as marketers and consumers. Now, I do apologise. He is barking. I'm just going to open the door just to let him in.
We've all been there, Abby.
Okay, so the above steps will pave the way to which your content is structured. So that's building your audience profile. So key take from this is to know the audience that you're writing the content for, understand what they're like, what they're going to like, understand the themes that they're going to engage with. And then final slide for me is top tricks and tips. Thank you, Sinead. So, define your goals. I'm just going to pick them up. Sorry.
Unfortunately, the slides are slightly out of order, so I am just getting them. There we are.
Thank you. So, quick tips and tricks of the trade. Define your goals. Learn who your audience is. Select your social media platforms wisely. Like Sinead said, if you don't have video content, there is no point you being on TikTok. Humanize your brand. So don't come across all corporate. Corporate is for LinkedIn. Corporate isn't for Facebook. It's not for Instagram, and it's not for TikTok. So really humanize your brand on the channels that you know are more inspirational content. Top performing posts and least performing posts. Keep a very close eye on these. And then the bottom line is measure the impact of your social media marketing efforts by using the tools that I've discussed today and uncover your audience. Now, is there any questions? I feel like I really rapped through the last slide because my dog was barking.
Sorry about that. Was a slight glitch on the slides where they just jumbled, which is brilliant, which is always very good when we're presenting, but I hope that was okay there. So yes, I'm going to stop sharing the screen now because Abby and I are now open to taking questions. So I'll stop share, but we can share again if anyone wanted to revisit any slides.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in with a question straight away.
Please do.
So, Abby,
yes,
your 4 top tips. I got a bit distracted by your dog, so I'm going to ask you, could you just recap the 4 top tips?
Okay, so building your audience profile. Collect data about your audience is tip number 1. So age, location, interests, lifestyles, and you can do this by using the social media platform insights such as Facebook Meta Suite. They give you this information free, so you can write it down and analyze it there. And then the second one is the one that I find most businesses don't do. So use social listenings to find conversation about your brand. You can monitor this by searching keywords or hashtags, and you can also monitor this by competitor research that Sinead picked on a couple of slides before mine. The third tip is bring the first 2 together. So bring it all together in a well-rounded presentation of key factors from your research. And then the 4th tip is make changes as needed. So what this means is update your audience personas as markets and consumers evolve. So don't always stick to your audiences. So for example, audience set 1 would be Diane, over 50, retired, likes gardening. In a year or 2, she might not be on Facebook. So this audience might change. So always, always, always investigate who your audience is. And I would recommend doing it every 6 months just to make sure you're on top of your audiences.
Brilliant.
I hope that answers your question.
It does. Thank you, Abby.
Okay.
Can I suggest if anyone has any questions, just raise your hands and we'll go sort of in order as the hands are raised. I also had, sorry, one other question. I may as well take advantage of having my microphone on. So at the BID and with My Canterbury, one of the things we try to do on the social media is to support all the businesses. So certainly on Instagram in the past, what we've done is to like as many posts as we can from our feed and to comment. Now, saving posts is new to me. And why do, okay, I'm going to sound really old. Why do people save posts? And are you saying actually from here on, that's the thing we should be doing to support the other businesses?
Yeah, I think Abby can expand on this, is that generally it's when we're in a forum like this with different businesses, if you want to support each other, certainly for the BID, for others, when you hear what the algorithms want you to do, what Facebook is saying to do it for your friends, for your colleagues, just do it to give them a helping hand. We know that like became such an automatic response. You know, I've watched people on their phone just scrolling, just going tap, 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 not even looking. So it becomes less meaningful. And while it does register as an engagement, it's always Facebook and Meta trying to get more meaningful engagement. So if you save it, it means that you think that's interesting enough, I want to come back to that later. I'm going to read it, I'm going to invest more time in it. If you comment on it, you feel that you have engaged enough that, yeah, that's great, I love to hear that. Now we've all seen the comment spamming of people just going, hey, hot pick, and just putting a heart emoji. So those are the things, the more meaningful engagement you can get, the better you will perform. They have made it more difficult for us. So look at likes, shares. Can you share it? You can do a call to action to people in your comments. If you are posting something and say, save this for later, share to your profile, tell your friends, share with your friends. So encourage those sorts of engagements, but also really from a B2B and kind of in a very quite literally meta way, you know, share this knowledge, talk to each other and say, actually, guys, save, share, this is what's going to help. I saw a very good Instagrammer who's actually based in Whitstable, and she did a whole post about it, and she did stories and saying, if you want to support Instagrammers, and this was during the pandemic, if you want to support influencers or businesses, this is what you need to do. I'm directly asking you to please save my post, to share. If you like it, don't just do it, don't just spam it. But that's a good guidance. So yes, when you're trying to support other businesses, if you want to show engagement, and if you want your staff to do it as well, because your staff should be supporting your business too, those are the things to ask them to do. Just be a little bit more meaningful in their engagements. Yeah.
And just to touch on that, call to actions are key. So save this post for later, for example, on an events post, or share amongst your friends. Let us know, tag us in your share, let us know what you enjoyed about the experience or the service or the product. That would be my best advice going forward, to try and understand the algorithm as they change.
I see, Jodie, I've seen your comment in the chat again, and I know you've engaged about feeling that you have several different audiences. Completely understand. I think most people on this thing will feel the same thing, of going, we've got lots of different audiences, and it's very, very hard to convince people when you say, don't say you have something for everyone, because most of you will go, but we are for everyone, please. There's always a way to define, build your audience profiles, and you can have primary audiences and secondary audiences. So give yourself a break, do a bit of planning and do a bit of sketching. I've done this in the past, where you go, okay, who are the top 3 types of people who are likely to walk through the door or engage with my business? We know that there's, you know, when you say young people, the dreaded young people. We need to engage with young people. You know, who are those young people? Are we talking young people as in, are you talking 16-year-olds? Or are you talking to what we perceive to be young people, depending on your age group? Are you thinking 18 to 21? Or are you thinking 20 to 30? Just try and define it a bit more. Think about what they do when they're in your store and they're interacting with your brand. You know, what sort of spending habits do they have? Those core people, you know, are they likely to spend, you know, £20 with you, or are they going to spend £50 with you? We work with different organizations where the average spend of the customers is massively different. You know, we've got one company that we work with where it's very high-end materials that they're selling. So talking about prices in their content is not going to work for them, but we need to be creating content that is going to be aimed at someone for whom money, not such an object, they're not going to worry about, but they're going to want to be inspired. They're going to want to know about quality. That's what that sort of audience group is. But then there's also another audience group there that they want to be introducing their brand to younger again, you know, maybe they're a new family, they're starting out, they want to be introduced to the brand, they maybe have a little bit more disposable income. It's those levels of audiences. So the more you can kind of refine and get together with your staff, get together with the people in the business and go, you know, who are they? If we were gonna literally draw a picture of them and guess what do they watch on TV, what kind of food do they like, what are they going to spend in a day, it will put you better in touch with those audiences and help you define them. And you can have secondary ones as well, so you're not cutting anyone out.
Any other questions? Yeah,
There was a request to have a look at the last slide.
I did share that again. I'm just
you?
conscious of I can't see the comments when I'm sharing it because
Yeah.
just the way my screen works, but we can share the entire presentation with everyone.
Lovely, that's a great idea. I'll keep an eye on the screen. If anyone has questions, raise your hand. But I know you covered insights platforms, but and I know that actually being a bit hands-on with this to start with is a good idea, but then it can take up a lot of time. So I wondered if you could just comment briefly on using scheduling platforms and just generally about how those work.
Certainly. I'm happy to draw on that. I have used Abby and I across the, we've used nearly all of them. So we've used everything from the free versions, you know, from Hootsuite, from the very basic. I have previously used Sprout Social, which is one of the most expensive and certainly one of the best. Very good. Scheduling platforms are very useful if you have, you know, if you've got multiple channels, they're worth investing your time into. We could probably give you chapter and verse on each one about which ones we would recommend and which ones we wouldn't. You know, I'm testing several of them at the moment. It's a good, there are free options on all of them, nearly all of them, where if it just helps you to plan out your content for the week, you know, you've got some events to talk about, you may have products that you want to talk about, you may want to just share inspirational pictures. You know, we schedule our content for Visit Canterbury because we sit and we'll work out the themes and we'll source the images that we need in advance and we'll schedule those. But we keep an eye on our social media channels every single day to make sure that if anything relevant or last minute pops up, we can amend our scheduling. Scheduling is a good idea because it enables you to plan in blocks of time rather than feeling like I have to do this every second of every day, because social media does take time. There is no getting away from it. And I know it sounds really kind of doomsday-ish, but good social media takes time. But scheduling will give you the opportunity to take a Monday and a Friday and go, right, I'm going to sit down for an hour, I'm going to schedule out the content or give it to someone else. The good benefit of some of the social media platforms, depending on the level, if you want to pay a bit more, is you can get members of your team or your organization to write content for social media, but it won't go live until you've approved it. So that can be very useful if you feel that you want to get more people writing for social media, but you're terrified because you are the keeper of your channels and you need to approve it. You can have that all set up. They will schedule it. They can put in images and you will just get an approval and go, I'm happy with that. No spelling mistakes. click live. So it's very good if you've got multiple people involved in there. The insights, as Abby is drawn on, the insights on the platforms, they vary wildly. You know, to give you a quick overview, if that's all you need, if the people you are reporting back to, even for yourself, if you only need a quick overview of your stats, then those platforms, those scheduling tools would generally give you decent enough analytics. The more detailed you can go into, as we've demonstrated today, the better your insights will be in terms of determining good content. So using those platforms and using the analytics to support you, some of them will print off an entire report that you can just slot into a business proposal or into a report that you can send off to your colleagues. Generally, you know, you get what you pay for. I would say Hootsuite is a very, very good platform for the free service. I use it a lot. It's quite intuitive. Yes, you do need to pay beyond a certain point. Sprout Social, if you can afford it, is the daddy. It is very, very good, and I've never had a problem with it. We've tested both. We use Zoho Social, which is proving good. We've done some running testing on another one. I've also used Buffer as well in the past. Buffer is experiencing some problems at the moment, literally live problems, where I'm having to sit and it's creating more problems than being an actual aid to us, because they are having their own glitches. So sometimes scheduling tools can be more trouble than they're worth, but if they are, then you just ask for a refund.
Yeah, thank you, Sinead. You've been helping us with that one, actually. We might come back to that, but Jodie, did you have a question? And then there's another one in the chat as well.
Yeah, my question was just about when I touched upon doing some advertising either on Facebook or Instagram. You mentioned about looking at your the biggest reach on those platforms, and actually our biggest reach is on Google My Business, which I don't think was mentioned on your socials. I mean, I presume that's because it doesn't class as social media or whatnot, but regardless of that, for us it's a huge platform for us where our reach is huge. I didn't know what your thoughts were on Google My Business and using that as a space to advertise or whatnot.
Yeah, I thought about including in that. I'm going to hand over to Abby for that. To us, it's technically not a social media platform, but it's vital for your business. We could do a whole session on Google My Business on itself. Abby, I'll let you do a quick wrap up on it.
Yeah, so we've been testing publishing Facebook posts on Google My Business.
Yeah.
So same content, you don't have to write different content, but it really works for engagement and really works for clicks to the website. So I know that it's not in this slide, it's not part of social media, but Joe, I'm with you on Google My Business. We are seeing huge traffic through on Google My Business accounts. So just for everyone, if you don't have a Google My Business account, highly recommend you creating one. But yeah,
thank you.
That's right.
It'd be a whole session in itself,
Yeah.
actually, on that. But it's a good guide. There are guides out there. Just, you know, if you need any guidance on it, just let us know. The other question in the post from number 8, hi, can your posts be not about your brand but what is going on in Canterbury, or is that too generic? It's a really good question, depending on the nature of your business. It's number 8. I think you're a B&B, is that right? Are you bed and breakfast? I don't know, but yes, thank you. It's a good point about it's about knowing your brand. If you're a hospitality business, you know, most of the people who want to come on and want to look at your social media want to be inspired by what they can see outside of your business as well as what's inside. So they want to be assured of, you know, the rooms that they're getting. They're going to want to kind of nose around. They're going to want to use social media to get inside and to look at the rooms, look at the breakfast. What I want to see what I'm getting when I arrive. But there's nothing wrong with also posting beautiful things about Canterbury on your grid as well. I wouldn't let it overtake it. I think certainly on Facebook, if you're doing, there's nothing wrong with sharing details about what's coming up in Canterbury. You wouldn't probably do that daily. Maybe you could do a bit of a roundup once a week, or maybe every other week or so, just to say this is coming up. It shows support for other businesses. Sharing a few inspirational pictures, you know, really high quality wow factor pictures of Canterbury, I think is a great idea for hospitality businesses to show, because you go after you've had your, you know, when you wake up in the morning and you go for your coffee, or you've had your pint, or you've come to do your shopping, here is what you will see. This is the experience that we're selling in the background. So try it, test it. see how people engage with it. They are not going to be coming to your social media channels primarily for Canterbury inspiration. They're going to be coming to find out about your business, and make sure that that is intact and that's part of it. But maybe start weaving in the Canterbury message into the Canterbury sell into your messages a bit more. So just cater that, know that people want to come and hear about you first, but also share what they'll be getting in Canterbury.
I would also, just to add that hashtag Friday feature, Sinead will laugh at this, I always talk about it on daily. It could be a way that you feature things to do in Canterbury, local businesses you can visit whilst you're staying in Canterbury. So that could always be a theme that you would link that to, so you're not always talking about Canterbury as a whole. But yeah, that would be my best advice. Put it into one day, every other week, hashtag Friday feature. It works.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that cross promotion work really well, but also that sense of civic pride, because Canterbury is a really well connected community. So when people win awards, you see sharing and commenting, probably more commenting, or when something happens in Canterbury, or indeed internationally, for example, with Ukraine, there was a strong outpouring on social media last week in particular. But I think it's great to see that across socials, for sure.
I would always say, just I know we're coming to the end, but really everyone who's on this call, you're all Canterbury businesses, and it's great, the wonderful work that the BID does to collaborate and to bring everyone together. You know, when it comes to social media, when you look at your competitor analysis, look at other areas as well, but let's look at Canterbury. You know, talk to each other about what works, and share your knowledge, because the aim is, overall, you know, while you need your business to succeed, it is supporting Canterbury and getting people to actually buy into the brand that is Canterbury as well. So if they see that across social media, and we're all sharing the right tips, and we're all getting the right we're getting our social media right, and we're doing the right measurement, we're listening to the algorithms, we're going to cut through when people are making travel choices more so than other areas that aren't being collaborative, that aren't sharing the knowledge, and aren't really bothering with their social, and they're just fighting with each other locally. It's better to work as a collective, as the city, and to share your knowledge, talk to each other about how we can promote Canterbury and each of the businesses in there, and share each other's work, because Facebook, Meta, Instagram, they like that. They like to see people sharing and collaborating, because then you're using the platform.
Sinead and Abby, thank you so much. And I think running these sessions is you've just mentioned algorithms. They're changing all the time. You keep up with that, we don't. So we can benefit from kind of picking up on those little tips and tricks, on top of just the general understanding of content within on social media, within our marketing and communication. So I think it's good. We'll keep running sessions like this, but grateful for your time today. Thanks again, Sinead and Abby, and lovely to see everyone.
Yes.
Hope you all have a good day.
Feel free to come and see us in Canterbury at Fruitworks.
Great. Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye.